It's not about a product. It's about a state of mind and a feeling and a position in the world that a brand can take that relates perfectly with their consumer because they want to take the same stand.
Martians landed,
Yes.
wearing Prada suits,
Yes.
drinking Henry Seltzer,
Yes.
chewing juicy fruit.
Yes, and?
Your branding here,
Yes, brand.
your message here,
Yes, and?
a verse about
Yes.
your product here.
Yes.
I'm Hirsch Redman.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world
Yes.
or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
All right, in the hot seat on Yes Brand today is Steve Biegel, and Steve is going to be open with us and honest about his encyclopedic knowledge of advertising, and I've known Steve for a long time, but for you, the audience who don't know him yet, he's an award-winning creative, an ad veteran, a marvelous copywriter, which I don't throw around that term loosely. He's worked at agencies like Ammirati Puris, Ogilvy and Mather, Havas. He's been a partner executive producer at WildChild Content and gotten them involved in not just production of content, but also some really meaningful content, such as the documentary The Walk. And so we will talk about all of that, but it all kind of leads us up to the word purpose and what that means to us, those of us who are in the branding and advertising space, but also those of us who have developed and are developing our own brands. What does it mean to bring purpose to your work? Steve, welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
Well, thank you, Hirsch. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
It's great to have you. I didn't mention this in the intro, but you're working with a publisher on a book about meaningful brands and branding. With all the stuff you've done, what is it that's inspiring you at this moment to get out there with not only a message of purpose, but also a formula kind of for it?
Well, I think after being in this business for a number of years, like I have, and spending so much time just selling products, and sometimes they're products that people can't afford, people don't really want, but using persuasive skills to sell those products. It's about time that I am able to use some of the talent that I possess to do things for brands and for communities and consumers on a higher level. So instead of just selling a product, I think that there are ways for brands to become more meaningful to their consumers. And what do I mean by that is that it's not about a product. It's about a state of mind and a feeling and a position in the world that a brand can take that relates perfectly with their consumer because they want to take the same stand. And it starts with identifying a problem that's going on in the world. So it's really about thought. You think, what's a problem that I can help solve? And then when you figure that out, then it's time to take your stand. And a brand takes a stand and they discuss what that stand is. They stake their flag in the ground. And then the brand has to do something about it. You can't just talk about it. You have to actually do something about it. So you have to create a product that remedies the situation that you're discussing and that you identified originally. And so you have to do something, create a product or create a message, or do something that changes the status quo.
Yeah.
And that's something, I'm working on, and I really call it my think, say, do technique. It's really a process of identifying the problem, thinking of it, claiming what it is, planting your flag, how you want to change it, and then enacting it and doing it. And that's the way that purpose, I think, can be communicated and can be lived between brands and their consumers.
Yeah, it sounds so clear when you say it, and it almost sounds easy, but we also know that all of that begins with a grasp of reality, a grasp of the truth, you know?
Right.
Um, and as you know, I struggle with that question of what's true, selling the truth. How do you package the truth in the way that serves your mission best, but stays close to reality? When there is so much disinformation and there's so much of a war for hearts and minds. I don't think until the last decade I even really understood what that meant. Trying to win the hearts and minds of people, because being in advertising, you get a little jaded.
Oh,
Being in advertising, you're like, you don't believe anything, right? Because everybody's full of shit and
yeah.
everybody's like selling stuff.
We're the most cynical bastards in the universe. Are you kidding? Advertising people, especially creative people. We don't believe anything. But you're right, Hirsch. I mean, really, you can't sell purpose without being truthful.
Yeah.
Because if you sell purpose and then the consumer finds out that you're not being truthful, they will crucify you and they
Oh,
will
yeah.
destroy you. And in this day and age, they have the technology right in their hand to do it. Every statement that you make, every product claim that you make can be fact checked instantly with all of the digital platforms that there are out there. So brands have to be really careful. If they're going to claim purpose and if they're going to claim some higher ground, they have to live it. And if they don't, they'll get destroyed. So,
Well, and there's another layer in there, which is, when purpose driven or mission driven, when that started to kind of be a thing several years ago, and brands would be connected to causes and so forth, it almost seemed, I don't think they realized what a complex territory they were getting involved in, because it was like, oh, okay, Tom's, they could buy one, give one, we can do stuff like that. We can align with a cause. You know, you and I have talked about, Patagonia and other brands that really live that commitment, uh, whether it's to the detriment of their bottom line sales or to the benefit of it. It doesn't really matter. What matters, what they get that a lot of brands didn't get, is when you make a deal with your audience, you're making a deal with them. You owe them,
no
you
doubt.
know, you know.
No doubt. Because you want them to be a part of you. It's sort of a relationship. It's much deeper than just a purchase. Okay. So a
Yeah.
purchase, you just buy something and you walk away. With purpose-driven advertising, you join together, the brand and the consumer join together to accomplish a specific goal. And that's really what it is. So it's bigger than just selling a product and moving on. With purpose-driven marketing, by trying to accomplish a goal together, the brand loyalty also goes through the roof. Because if you're working towards something, they're working towards something, and by buying a product that supports that cause, they'll buy another one and another one and another one, and they're with you. And that mission can take a long time, which of
Yeah.
course adds up to a lot of sales. So while you have to be truthful, while you have to be genuine, and you have to live what you're saying, you have to deliver. Again, you have to deliver. And the best brands that do this, you mentioned Tom's. Tom's was sort of a pioneer in
Hmm.
this type of marketing. And he hit a chord, and he became, I'm talking about Tom Ikowski, who started
Hmm.
Tom's. And he did it. He was just on vacation um, in an area of impoverished children, and he was just watching, and they were walking around, and nobody had shoes on. And he just said, we can make shoes, and every sale we can go to help kids who don't have shoes. So what it does, and the strategy is a beautiful one. What it does is just says that if you buy this pair of shoes, you will guarantee a pair of shoes to an impoverished child.
Yeah.
And so it's not just buying the shoe, it's buying. Now I will feel good every time I wear my pair of Toms, even if they don't look great, even if they don't make my feet comfortable, even if those things, but I will feel great in my soul
Right.
because I am helping a kid. And that is a powerful emotion to tap into. And Tom's tapped into that to their great success. And there are many brands that are tapping into that right now. And that's what I discuss in my book. And I found that feeling a bunch of years ago when I was working at Ogilvy on a campaign for one of the world's biggest insurance companies, believe it or not.
Right.
Sort of you think of them, it's as a heartless, gigantic financial institution. But I did a campaign for them that did really well, all the awards or whatever, but the greatest evidence of a successful campaign is that it changed people's behavior and
Right.
in such a big and unexpected way. The campaign was talking about in
This
order
was AIG.
yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
this was AIG Insurance and Financial Services, and
Because
it was
by the way, Steve, I don't, I want, the image comes up in my mind when you talk about this campaign. And of course, we're contemporaries, so I would have seen it, but it was really quite indelible. But go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was pretty cool, and it was very successful, and it sold a hell of a lot of policies for them. But at the end of the day, it brought an emotional feeling to people that they can change something in their lives for the better. So, for instance, the campaign talked about embracing risk instead of hiding from it,
Right.
which, when you think about it, is really counterintuitive for the insurance industry as a whole, right?
Hmm.
Here's a big, giant insurance company telling you, go ahead, take the risk instead of saying, avoid risks.
Yeah.
Um, so we communicated that in a really powerful way, which every campaign needs to do in order to stand out and make a true connection with somebody. And but the end result was people actually took the risks that they needed to make their lives better. I read a letter from somebody who saw the campaign and who saw a spot on TV, and the client gave to the account people a bunch of letters. The account people gave them to me, and it talked about somebody who saw one of the spots, who was bedridden for a couple of years with major anxiety and couldn't get out of bed. And they actually said that they saw one of the spots, and afterwards, for the first time in 2 years, attempted to get out of bed and take a couple of steps. And boy, when I read that, I mean, that was just like incredible for somebody for a number of years who's like selling soap and selling and convincing people to use one soda versus another soda.
Yeah.
Uh, doing something meaningful like that really impacted me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it stays with you. Let's talk about your perspective for a moment. You have a very interesting, you came of age in the industry at a very interesting time. You've now uh, borne witness to, traditional advertising transitioning into digital advertising, which was a seismic shift for anyone working in the industry, and then social, experiential, what we would say. I mean, what really, in your view, what real, because this is an interesting thing that you have knowledge of. You have firsthand knowledge of a lot of advertising legends
Yeah.
and how what they believe, and because the medium has changed so much, it'd be easy to think, well, is it did were they right? Were they wrong? Are we doing something actually different from what they did? Here we have the whole Mad Men image in our head. What is your take on the transition, the evolution of advertising, and what some of those great minds either foretold or would have maybe deviated from?
Right. That's a great question. And yes, Hirsch, I've had the pleasure of witnessing some tremendous transitions within the industry. Not only stylistic transitions, but technological transitions. I mean, I started, but I don't want to date myself, but what the heck? Um, I started, where with typewriters. Okay. So I remember at Ogilvy them giving us lessons on the computer. And at Ogilvy they would talk about creating a department. It's called I think Ogilvy One, where's the digital department. And none of the creatives wanted to be a part of that. The creatives said, "Oh, it's a fad. We're just going to stay writing big TV commercials."
Yeah.
And I was one of them. But look at where we are now. That department has diminished, and almost everything now is about social media. And it's about
Yeah.
social media because that's where the people are. All right. Let's not forget that it doesn't just change with the technology, it changes where the people are. They need to be found, but with messages, with brand messages.
Well, that's an interesting point because and I feel that resistance sometimes because we're creatures of habit, which is exactly what brands count on, right?
Yes.
That we're susceptible to repetition, to comfort, all those things. At the same time, we look at all these platforms, and I remember the change as well. I remember the change from broadcast and print to digital and what that meant and the dubiousness about, are people really even going to be there or see it? The push versus pull, all of that stuff. But now you could easily just play to TikTok, let's say, and pretty much just do your business there. You
You
could,
can.
right?
But you know what hasn't changed?
Yeah.
The story and the tenets of storytelling. That hasn't changed. That's been since we first told stories around a campfire and and warned each other about that the dinosaurs were around and with cave paintings on walls. So it's still about storytelling and communication. The technology has changed, and we as advertisers and brands need to change with that, and we need to master the new technologies that come around. The great ones do it, and the ones who can't sort of fall aside. But what the masters knew back in the 60s and then as we, move forward is about storytelling. And there are a couple of incredible stories that I put in the book
Hmm.
about different techniques of some of the great masters with media. For instance, interactive media. When do you think interactive media started? This is a test for you, Hirsch.
Oh, um, I don't know. Well, okay. Honestly, I would say, and I don't know why this is popping into my head, but 1983.
All right, you're close, but it actually started in the 1960s.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
it
I
was
was 20
before
years off.
digital. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not that far. Before digital. And
Yeah.
this guy in San Francisco, a creative director named Howard Gossage,
Yeah.
used print advertising in an interactive way. He would have puzzles. He would ask the consumer to fill out a form to win a prize. So he took that two-dimensional piece of paper in a newspaper or a magazine, and he would have the consumer then send it back into the brand with their responses in order to win something. And it was interactive. He believed that the best type of advertising or communication between a brand and a consumer should be tactile, and it shouldn't be a one-way discussion. It shouldn't just be
Right.
a brand saying what they believe will make you buy their product, but give the consumer an opportunity to put their 2 cents in.
Yeah.
And it started before digital, and he was so brilliant. So there are many instances where there are pioneers and really great thinkers from early on that are so important for today, even with the change in technology, if not more so. He's one of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Um, there's another element to all of this in your view, and it's one that truly interests me, uh, because I think of myself as a spiritual person, and I've been open-minded to, open to all kinds of different perspectives and backgrounds and cultures and religions and all of this stuff. Now, from your point of view, it's I guess the best way to describe it is kind of a mystical element. Um, that there's a mystical element that runs almost parallel with uh, with messaging and storytelling, if you will. Share a little of that.
Well, of course. So, I believe that there are very powerful connections with behavioral sciences
Yeah,
and
and that's what I meant to say between not storytelling per se, but behavioral science. Yeah,
yeah, so there are those deep connections, but with behavioral sciences and some of the early writings in scripture and in Kabbalah, even the mystical element of Judaism that I find so incredibly fascinating. Um, talking about how, and it's talking about manifesting something that isn't there yet by becoming more of yourself, stepping into another vessel which you want to have. But in order to do that, you have to act that way, which is, I find so fascinating, Hirsch, because that's what the big trend of manifesting is today. You go on TikTok and you can get bombarded with video after video after video about kids talking about manifesting the life that you want. It was written down 3,000 years ago. It's the same exact thing. And what all I've done is I've sort of recognized that. And by studying the not only the science, but studying some of the more mystical elements of this ancient writing, I found a great number of connections. And, I've articulated that in the book. And the connections are not only for humans to step into a better self, but for brands to step into a better brand,
hmm,
make themselves more meaningful. The name of the book is Meaningful Brands.
yeah,
And so I've sort of fused behavioral science, a little bit of Kabbalah, some of my personal insights and experience in the industry. I've wrapped it around some of the masters of creativity through the generations, and I've applied it to all the new technologies. So I think it'll make for a really interesting read, and you'll get the first copy.
thank you. Well, okay, it's oops, I got too so excited I knocked my microphone over. Um, so so let's talk about your purpose a little bit. Um, First of all, when do you when around do you expect the book to come out? Let's say.
I can't really say. I'm at chapter 8 right now. So
Yeah.
12 chapters in all, but of course the publisher has a big saying things, and many of those things are out of my control. But hopefully it'll be out. Hopefully it'll be out like third quarter of next year. So, it takes about a year.
Yeah.
Takes
Okay.
about it takes about a year. But things that, and it's incredible. The writing process, I enjoy it so much because it's really about discovery. And even though I go in to a new chapter with a thought in my head and a direction, as I'm writing it, I'm finding out new things and I'm making new discoveries that then, sort of makes me shift my mode a little bit into something else.
Yeah.
So, and that's basically the creative process, right? That's how
Yeah.
an art
Well,
director and a copywriter sit down in a room alone and try and find an idea. It's really the same thing. It changes, it changes. We throw out 10 before we find one good one. And yeah, and that's really the process of writing a book, which I very much enjoy.
yeah. I mean, I can tell you've shared a couple of excerpts with me, and I can say I can see the joy that you take in writing, and you're a great writer, and I that's always a that's always reason enough, let's say, to read or write a book. But in the context of today's world, um, how do you describe your purpose, kind of your global purpose in writing and sharing this book?
Well, I guess my purpose is just trying to bring some of the expertise that I've had or that I possess from my many years working in the industry. I've also had the opportunity, I think you touched about on this earlier, about working with some incredible talent, Hirsch. I mean, I'm almost like the Zelig of advertising,
Yeah,
where I have worked with some incredibly talented people that had tremendously successful careers. An early mentor of mine was David Fowler. David Fowler created the incredible Motel 6 radio
yeah,
campaign and
yeah,
many other incredible campaigns. And he was a hoot to work for. It wasn't always the easiest boss to have because he was a perfectionist and he had a vision that very few shared. And maybe he ruffled a couple of feathers with that, with his tenacity, for greatness. But he taught me so much. It was incredible. I worked with people like Kirk Souder,
yeah.
who started, his
Ground
own agency,
Zero, and
Ground Zero, and who is doing incredible purpose-driven work right now as a a coach to so many C-level individuals in purpose-driven marketing. Um, I started working at Ammirati and Puris at a
yeah,
place I was hired as the first ever junior copywriter, at an agency that didn't believe in juniors. They
yeah,
didn't believe that anybody other than a total expert with experience were good enough for their clients. So having that background, doing some cool work on my own, recognizing that we can use our talent not only just to sell a product, but actually to move people to a better place. That's when I decided that I should try and use my talents in that direction instead of just selling products, which can make you a couple of bucks, but at the end of the day, I wanted something more meaningful.
yeah. Well, I had a similar evolution in terms of moving from consumer brands to personal brands because I wanted to have that impact on someone, and that their brand, and to me their personal brand, could be named after them, or it could just be a small business or even a medium-sized business that to which they feel really connected, and to them the brand is extremely personal. And
Right.
to me, that's really special, valuable, and and that's what makes a meaningful brand association for me. You're working with some brands now on a consulting basis. Tell us a little about Neuroblast.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. Neuroblast is again, it's a purpose-driven brand that I found fascinating. It's created by a doctor who's helped his patients deal with neuropathy, um,
Hmm.
which is, it's a tough thing to deal with when you're an older person and you've been active your whole life. And when you get a little bit older, you get neuropathy and you're sort of sidelined. So there's nothing much you could do physically. And you just sit out the last years of your life, and I find that really sad. So this doctor told me about a new system that he developed, which is different than all the others. I found it incredibly interesting. So I helped him and his team create a brand for Neuroblast, not based on their product, but based on their consumer and based on the understanding that the consumer's mindset gets impacted by sitting out life as well. So think about it. You're an active person your entire life, and then all of a sudden the world goes by and you just sit there and watch. I mean, what type of mental issues does that create for an older person?
Yeah.
So I was happy to, and I'm still doing it right now, to help him and create a brand based on consumer insights and their needs. And it's a perfect match with his product. And I'm excited about this brand to be launched very soon. And I think it'll perform really well, and I think it will help millions and millions of seniors
Yeah.
better quality of life, in their later years. And that will bring me great personal joy. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to do after being in this industry for so long. Again, selling products. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But, you do it for a couple of years and you just want to see if you could do something more with those skills.
Well, it's akin to, in a way, ownership. Like I look at it this way. So let's say I was working for Nike and I'm doing all these great campaigns and it's great and I feel really proud of the work and I like the product and I like the brand and I like the culture in the office or whatever it may be, but I don't have any ownership of it. Um, and what I realized when I started working with personal brands, it's not like I have ownership of those brands, but I have ownership of the impact they have. In
Yeah,
other words, I get to have a piece of the satisfaction if they're doing good, if they're repairing the world, and they're having an impact on people, then I actually am having a participation in that, and that fills my soul up. And
totally.
so
Totally.
I think we're looking for the same things now. Finally, I want to talk a little bit, if you can share, about my karma and what that is, because this is another really interesting project to me that you're involved with.
Well, I'm still figuring this out and I'm still looking to partner up with a couple of people, but it's really a platform, marrying brands and consumers together through positive deeds. It's
Yeah.
sort it's rewarding a person for doing a random act of kindness during their day, capturing it through a photo or through a video, uploading it onto a social platform, having a community decide whether it's great enough to give it a check mark and move it up the ladder. And at the end of the day, the best deeds of the day will win something from brand sponsors who want to participate in helping foment more acts of kindness in the world. So it's using, again, behavioral economics where brands can participate in making the world a better place by being a part of an ecosystem that helps consumers do better things for the world. Um, and yeah, I'm excited about that. But there are a number of things going on right now, and I need, like I said, I'm looking for some partners on that, and we'll get going. I'm very excited, very
Yeah,
excited.
I love it. And I believe honestly that that kind of positivity and good nature will, if anything can save us, that can. Why? Because we have to save ourselves. You know, whatever happens to the human race, whatever our destiny is going to be on us. It's not because dinosaurs are going to come and eat us. It's that's not, you know, like you can't blame the cavemen, you know, if they would say, well, they didn't live in the same time as dinosaurs. But if they did, if movies were real, and you said, well, somebody got eaten by a dinosaur, you know, you can't really stop that. But we've created so much of what our world is today, and for better or worse, we're the uh, we're the determining factor in what happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, Hirsch, is that government's not going to solve anything. Our government is so
I
broken, but you
yeah,
know what? You know who can really help? Brands.
yeah,
Brands can really help, and they can do things that government can't. They have money behind them. They have minds behind them, and they can make a shift to a positivity that I don't think anybody else can do. And what I'm trying to do is harness the power of those brands to try and make a better world. It's not me doing it, it's the
yeah.
brand doing it. But if I can contribute just a little bit to that formula, that's what makes me happy. And that's what I'm looking to do. It's what I discuss in the book, what I'm trying to do with this social media app and with some of my consulting work.
So, where can people find you who want to learn more about the world of Steve Biegel?
I have a website. It's not that deep. It's a pretty shallow site, but you can read a little bit about me. It's stevebiegel.com. You can reach me there. Send me a note. I'll answer it, and we could talk about anything that you'd like to discuss, and see what happens. Um,
It's Biegel for
yeah,
those
it's
who
not
are
the
listening and not and can't see. If you're not on YouTube and you can't see the Steve's name there, it's Steve Biegel.com. And
Yeah, of
definitely,
course, I've been teased to death when I was a kid with
yeah,
the other version of Beagle, but that's another story.
with the what version?
With the dog version of Beagle.
Oh,
When I was a
yeah,
kid, I was teased mercilessly, and I had to pay for it with a lot of dinero to my shrink, but
yeah.
I made it through, and and it's all good. It's all good.
Alright.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and?
it worked for you,
Yes, then?
subscribe and leave a
Yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on
Yes.
before they're gone.